Stephen O'Keefe, and I'm excited to show you how to listen better through my lens as a person with a hearing loss. Hearing the sounds is only a small part of listening. Listening is a full body experience. We use our eyes, a head, a mouth, and a heart. Today, we're going to talk about listening with your heart. This means you listen with respect, understanding, and empathy, doing your best to understand the other person's perspective, in other words, stepping into their shoes. Listening with your heart is the same as listening with empathy. This is the most powerful superpower of listening. You can screw up the rest of the stuff with listening with your eyes, head, or your mouth, but if you get listening with your heart right, you can get away with so much. You have excellent listening skills because people know that you care. You will be able to influence and lead others more effectively and have stronger relationships at work and home if you listen with your heart. Wouldn't it be a wonderful thing? You have that much influence. You will find when people feel respected and understood and heard, you will go a long way towards cooperating with you. Now, people may want different things when they communicate with you. It's up to you to listen to find the purpose behind the communication. When you listen with your heart, you try to really think about what the other person really wants. Sometimes they just want to be listened to, without you jumping in, or without you trying to find a silver lining for them or the bright side of things, or an empty platitude. You're not going to say something that is saying on a throw pillow. For instance, if your friend's kid gets kicked out of school, you never say to them, at least you don't have to help her with her homework. Or it's okay, everything happens for a reason. Or if someone says, I'm bankrupt, you never say this. The bright side is that you don't have to pay your taxes anymore. You will get this response. And a lot of the time you need to listen to what the other person really wants when they're talking to you. There may be hidden meaning. What the person says may not match what they mean. For example, if my wife buys a hideous bag which looks like roadkill and says this to me, hey Stephen, what do you think of my bag? She's not asking me for my opinion. Rather, she's fishing for a compliment. Now, the most important part of listening with your heart is stepping into their shoes. It's an universal truth that works so well for inclusion for so many different things. As Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella puts it, the key to everything is empathy, because nothing else is more effective and fruitful than the ability to walk into the shoes of others. Daniel Kahneman, who was a Nobel Prize winner in economic science, says negotiations are not about trying to convince the other guy, it's about trying to understand them. Even going fiction with Odyssey's Finch and Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird. He famously said, "We can never understand someone until we understand their point of view, climb into that person's skin, and stand and walk in that person's shoes." I've stepped into other shoes many times. I absolutely need to do this given my communication challenges, my hearing loss. I'll take you to the first time I did a stand-up comedy show. And the first time I'm standing in front of a microphone. My heart is pounding so hard that it could leap out of my mouth. My armpits are sweating profusely, and my lips are so dry that I keep licking them. I feel a vomit in the back of my throat. I'm having a out-of-body experience, and my mind is racing at warp speed. Thinking, why the hell have I done this? As you know, I have a speech impediment, and I was born deaf. A stand-up comedy show is the ultimate challenge because a lot of factors come into play. I need to be able to say the words clearly, as a lot of the jokes require hints and keywords, and if a word is missed, the joke falls flat. The timing, rhythm, and pacing are critical, both for speech comprehension and for the flow of the comedy show. If I am off, I can step on the laughter, meaning that if I rush to my joke, the audience won't have time to laugh. We give the audience time to process the setup of my joke. But by far my biggest fear is the dreaded fake smile and the embarrassed sympathy laugh from the audience. You know, the one where people look at me and feel sorry for the deaf guy who's trying hard. So going back to my first stand-up comedy show, I step forward onto the stage and I pick up the microphone with my sweaty palm. The chatter in my brain miraculously clears, and I do my first joke. Then I hear something that sounds like laughter, but due to my hearing impairment, it sounds blurry, like something underwater rumbling. I look more closely at the audience, and I can see they are laughing. I made them laugh, and I feel less pressure. I crack another joke, and then I hear the underwater rumbling sound again. Laughter! And at that moment, I was hooked on stand-up comedy. Mistress, this can be so cruel at times. I went on to numerous comedy shows, and I've performed in front of thousands of people. The story of me doing stand-up and my hearing loss became a documentary which aired on CBC and PBS across North America. So how was I able to make this work? I thought very hard what it was going to be like from the audience perspective. In other words, I stepped into those shoes. For example, most of them didn't know I was deaf. I would be lost trying to figure out why I was talking differently. So I had to address this issue head on. I opened my act with this. I want you to know that I'm deaf. I don't want you to think I'm doing the world's worst Arnold Schwarzenegger impression ever. Then the audience was able to relax, found out our stuff, and they had to know that this guy is pretty funny, it's going to be okay. But sometimes that did not always work, especially if I forgot to stop and do those things if it's a different audience. I made the same joke to a class of 10-year-old kids, and they had no idea who Arnold was until the teacher told them. He's a really old man. He was a politician in the USA. Arnie, an old man. It still breaks my heart. Arnie, I love you. And so, but it's common for a lot of deaf people to step into other people's shoes because they have to work so hard to make sure they are understood, that they can communicate well with others, that people can understand them. And you know what? That the research is true. I love it when people step into my shoes, when they are trying hard to be inclusive for me, when they are making sure I can see their lips clearly, or let me know what's going on in a conversation, and make me feel so included and connected. So stepping into someone's shoes is so important. So today's challenge is all about how to step into somebody's shoes. If you're having a hard time figuring out how to do it, a great way to do this is make them the hero of the story and see things from their perspective and what they see as their reality and their motivation. This is an excellent tool in which negotiators use. It is also effective when you're dealing with someone who is difficult, who you think is difficult. Perhaps it's your spouse who is berating you for not doing the laundry, or your soccer coach and their parent is complaining that precious little Johnny isn't getting enough playing time. Often when conflict occurs, we portray ourselves as the hero and the other person as the villain, when there is many shades of grey. I challenge you to think about it from the other side's perspective, with them as the hero and you as the villain. You'd be amazed what you find out. So to be clear, you do not have to agree with their perspective or think they are making sense. Your goal is to try to understand that person and what motivates them. Going back to the example of you being a soccer coach, dealing with a parent whose precious little Johnny isn't getting enough playing time. What you could do is step into the parent's shoes. Maybe he'll be upset because they think little Johnny will be scarred forever, and they dream of him being the next Alfonso Davies or Ronaldo, who die on the soccer field. Instead of telling the parent what you really think, oh, he's a sniffling little brat, he's the crappiest soccer player I've ever seen. You could say the best players in the world don't always start, and they practice more so they don't lose their confidence. Alfonso Davies didn't even get to play much when he was 15. So, today, I've shown you how to listen with your heart. That means you really listen to what they want. This involves you looking for the emotional and hidden meaning behind their words, and also to step into their shoes and reverse the role. Assume you're the other person and you see it from their perspective. My challenge to you today is to try one of the above two and practice it this week. I think the best one to do is when you make the other person the hero of the story and you the villain. It's a real eye-opener. Listening with your heart is the powerful superpower of full body listening. You can free up the rest of the stuff. With listening with your eyes, head, your mouth, but if you get this one right, you will have excellent listening skills because people think you care about them and understand them. And listening is all about connection. And when you do that, the future will open to you with so many possibilities.